All right, ready to dive into one of those stories that just, stays with you.
Always up for a good story.
We're tackling the book of Job today.
Oh, wow. That's a heavy one. Lots to unpack there.
Yeah, and we're going to go deep, not just skim the surface.
Yeah.
Using this article as our guide, we're going to see what it has to say about suffering, faith, the whole mystery of life.
I think what's always struck me about Job is how much it still resonates today, you know?
Oh,
It's not
absolutely.
thousands of years old, and it's still grappling with stuff we all deal with. Loss, questioning your faith, all of that.
Right. And the story just throws you right into it. It's like, here's Job, living the dream, wealthy, righteous, big family, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, you kind of get a little, I don't know, almost envious reading it, right? Like, man, this guy's got it all figured out.
Exactly. Which is why I think when everything falls apart, it hits so hard. It's not just some abstract parable. You see Job's happiness first, then bam.
Yeah, that contrast really drives it home.
And then there's this, like, wager between God and Satan.
Oh, yeah, the cosmic bet.
Right. Is Job's faith only there because his life is good? It makes you wonder, like, can faith really exist without being tested?
Big questions, right? I mean, some people even see that whole wager as a literary device, a way to get us thinking about those very things.
Interesting. Well, Job definitely becomes the experiment, I guess you could say. Starts with his livestock getting stolen, then his servants are killed, and then, oh man, then all of his children die in this horrible accident. It's just relentless.
It's like the story is trying to completely break him, make him curse God, give up on everything.
But he doesn't. Instead, he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Powerful stuff.
So much strength in those words.
Yeah.
To go through that and still cling to faith. I mean, honestly, how would we even react?
That's what gets me. It's not like he's some superhuman figure just brushing it off, right?
Yeah.
He grieves, questions, gets angry, but there's this belief that there's something more, something bigger than all this pain.
Right. But then, as if all that wasn't enough, Job gets hit with these horrible sores covering his whole body. His wife even tells him to just give up, curse God, and die. It's brutal.
It almost mirrors those experiences people have today with chronic illness or just immense physical suffering. It makes you wonder, where do you find the strength to keep going when your body is failing?
It's a question a lot of us probably ask in different ways.
Absolutely.
So enter Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. You'd think they'd be there for support, but, well,
It kind of backfires, huh?
big time. They try to comfort him, but they end up blaming him, saying he must have sinned to deserve this.
It's that classic everything happens for a reason thinking, right?
Exactly. Maybe they meant well, but it just adds insult to injury. Really makes you think about how even well-meaning advice can be totally off the mark.
Yeah, it's like they can't deal with the idea of suffering without a cause, so they gotta find one.
Job's not buying it, though. He wants answers, and not from his friends. He demands an audience with God. No middlemen, straight to the source. Pretty bold move.
Oh, yeah. Some even argue that's the turning point of the whole story. It becomes about questioning, challenging, not just blindly accepting.
And that leads us to God's response.
Talk about awe-inspiring.
He appears in a whirlwind, but he doesn't answer Job's questions directly.
Root.
Instead, he shows Job the vastness of creation, all the amazing things he's done.
It's like God is saying, look at all this, the universe I made, all the things you can't possibly understand. You really think you've got it all figured out.
It's a lot to take in.
But it's not just meant to silence Job. Some people interpret it as an invitation.
An invitation to what?
To humility, to recognize that our human perspective, well, it's pretty limited compared to the infinite. And I think that's where Job has this realization.
Yeah.
He sees all this immensity, the complexity of nature, and I think he understands.
Understands that.
That his own suffering, as bad as it is, it's part of something so much bigger.
And that's when he repents.
Yeah. Not because he suddenly has all the answers, though.
Right.
But because he realizes he doesn't need them,
There's peace in that. Surrendering to something bigger, even when we don't get it.
That's an idea that pops up in a lot of different spiritual traditions, right? Like acceptance, maybe even more than understanding, is how you find peace.
Doesn't take the pain away, but maybe gives it a different kind of meaning.
Exactly.
So it's not just about blindly accepting everything that happens.
No.
But more like trusting in something bigger, even when you can't see it.
It's more nuanced than some people make it out to be. Some scholars would even say Job's story is a celebration of questioning.
Really?
Yeah, of wrestling with tough questions, even if it gets uncomfortable.
Interesting. So then we get to the ending, which I gotta say is both satisfying and kind of confusing.
How so?
Well, God heals Job, gives him even more wealth than before, a new family. Seems like a happy ending, right?
On the surface, yeah.
But does that just erase all his suffering? Like, did he deserve this reward just for being faithful?
Doesn't quite fit into the do good, get good mold, does it?
Not really. It makes me think we always want these simple explanations for why things happen, but life just isn't that neat.
Right. And I think that's what makes the ending so powerful. It doesn't give you easy answers. It lets every reader come to their own conclusions about justice, suffering, the whole shebang.
So we have this story, these big themes, but how does it all connect to us today? What can we actually take away from Job's experience?
One of the biggest things for me is suffering is universal. Loss, sickness, betrayal, anxiety, we all go through it. And Job shows us it's okay to feel those things.
It's okay to question, get angry, even doubt,
Absolutely, he did. And I think that gives us permission to be honest about our own pain.
instead of pretending everything's fine.
Right, and there's strength in that honesty and that vulnerability. Look at Job. He was willing to express his pain, challenge God, and it led him to a deeper understanding.
So admitting we're struggling, maybe that's where the real strength comes from.
I think so. It's a powerful message, especially in a world where we're often told to hide our weaknesses.
Job's friends, though, they tried to help but ended up making things worse, right?
Right.
Trying to explain away his pain.
Yeah, good intentions, bad execution. And it shows us sometimes the best support you can give is just to listen.
No need to have all the answers, just be there.
Exactly. And I think Job's story ultimately offers hope.
Hope.
Yeah, even when it feels like the world is against you, there's a chance for healing, for finding meaning in all the chaos.
Not a guarantee, of course.
Mm.
But it does make you feel like, even in the darkest times, there's something bigger we can tap into.
Maybe it's faith or community or just that human resilience, but it's there. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. We've covered a lot of ground here. What for you is like the biggest thing that sticks with you from all this?
Tough question. But I think for me, it's that moment when Job shifts.
Shifts how?
He goes from demanding those answers from God to just acknowledging the vastness of it all, of creation, of how much he doesn't understand.
This is not giving up on faith.
No, not at all. It's more like embracing the mystery, I guess.
I get that. Like when you're looking out at the ocean or up at the stars, you kind of feel how small you are in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. It's humbling, right?
Yeah, maybe even a little scary.
But also kind of freeing.
Yeah, I see that. So how does the listener actually use that? This idea of finding meaning in suffering. Easier said than done when you're going through it.
So true. And I think step one is honesty. Be real with yourself about how you're feeling. No need to force the positivity or pretend you're not hurting.
Like Job did.
Exactly. He raged, he questioned, total despair, and it's all part of it.
So letting yourself feel it, even the bad stuff, that's important.
Huge. Got to acknowledge the pain to start moving through it. Maybe that means talking to someone, a friend, therapist, whoever, or writing it down, meditating, art, whatever works for you.
No one right answer.
Nope. It's a journey, not a destination, right?
So more about the process of figuring it out than finding some perfect answer.
Exactly. And be patient with yourself. Everyone heals at their own pace.
And remember, you're not alone in this. Job's story shows us that suffering, it connects us all.
Shared experience, even when it's painful. And maybe knowing others have gone through it, that's a little bit of hope, right? Even when things are tough.
I like that. Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to ponder today. Took this ancient story, found some surprising depth, and even tied it back to our own lives.
Hope it's got you thinking about the book of Job in a new light. It's not just about suffering, it's about resilience, faith, and that search for meaning that we're all on.
And hey, maybe this is just the start of your own journey with it.
Yeah.
After all, sometimes the best lessons come from those tough questions, right?